ॐ
ॐ
सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहनाववतु सहनत्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Okay, so we had completed the first mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. Now we are on the second mantra. So we will read Sarvam Hetad Brahma
सर्वं
सर्वं ह्येतद् ब्रह्म
ब्रह्म
Ayam Atma Brahma
अयम्
अयम्
आत्मा
आत्मा
ब्रह्म
ब्रह्म
Soyam Atma Chatushpat.
सोऽयम्
सोऽयम्
आत्मा
आत्मा
चतुष्पात्
चतुष्पात्
Okay, so the first mantra, if you remember, was that Omkara is everything, and therefore inquiry of into Omkara will be inquiry of everything. That was what we said in the first mantra. Now his mantra says that everything is Brahman. Sarvam Yetad Brahma. Everything is Brahman. And therefore, if you want to understand everything, everything means the entire creation. So first mantra was Omkara is creation and what is beyond creation also. And here it is Brahma is everything. First mantra recommended inquiry into Omkara for understanding everything. This mantra is Brahma Vicharena Sarva Vicharaha Bhavati. Through the inquiry into Brahman, everything will be known. And so here is one of the Mahavakyams. Which is the Mahavakyam here?
अयम् आत्मा
I am Atma Brahma.
अयमात्मा ब्रह्म
Right? This is the one of the Mahavakyams which are normally quoted out of the four of them. So I am Atma means this Atma is Brahman. Brahman is this Atma only. And what is Atma? Atma means I, myself. So I, myself, I am Atma, myself, I am Brahman. This is the Mahavakyam. And the word I am means I, me. And what is the implication? That I am available all the time. I am never not available to me. So the always evident Atma, I am Brahman. And there are two statements if you see, Etat Sarvam Brahma. All this, everything is Brahman, right? And I am Atma Brahma. Brahman is Atma. Carefully study the statements. Etat Sarvam Brahma. Everything that is here is Brahman only. Statement number one. And I am Atma Brahma. I am Brahman. Therefore, if everything is Atma, then that everything can be understood by inquiring into Atma. And therefore, Atma Vichara is the inquiry into everything. So, it's giving a very important idea, which of course we have seen before. But we have always talked about inquiry into Brahman, inquiry into Atma. But here he is saying that you yourself are Atma. I myself am Atma. Therefore, if I want to understand creation, all I have to do is to inquire into myself. And so there are two different methods we have seen. The first mantra presented inquiry into Omkara, and the second mantra, this one, is presenting inquiry into myself. So this I am Atma Brahman is the Mahavakyam which occurs in Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad is which Veda?
Atharvana.
Atharvana Veda. What are the other three? See, it's not that there are only four Mahavakyams. Okay, there are hundreds and hundreds of Mahavakyams. So what is a Mahavakyam? Mahavakyam is anything which expresses identity, aikyam between you and Brahman, or between Atma and Brahman, wherever the identity is expressed. That's called a Mahavakyam. And there are many, but generally we take four and present them, one from each Upanishad. So, I am Atma Brahma is Atharvana Veda, Mandukya Upanishad. Tattvamasi is which Upanishad?
Chandogya,
Chandogya. Which Veda?
Samveda,
Samaveda. Right, okay. Then Prajnanam Brahma is that we have not done the Upanishad. It's called Aitareya Upanishad. Okay, that's Rig Veda. And Aham Brahma Asmi, again we have not yet come to that. We have started that Upanishad, Bhadaranyaka, Yajurveda. So the four which we normally present, Tattvamasi, Samaveda, Prajnanam Brahma, Rig Veda, Aham Brahmasmi, Yajurveda, I am Atma Brahman is the Atharvana Veda. Okay, now with these two mantras, the Upanishad has talked about two types of vicharas, Omkara Vichara, inquiry into Omkara, and Atma Vichara, inquiry into Atma. It now gives an elaboration. But as I mentioned in the first session, it doesn't take the same sequence. The mantra number one is the first one, Omkara Vichara. Mantra number two is Atma Vichara. So normally, if you follow a sequence, you should have had Omkara Vichara first. But Upanishad takes up Atma Vichara first. Okay. And so the inquiry starts from where? Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Same mantra, the last section, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. This is the inquiry into Atma. And this goes all the way up to the seventh mantra. Now, this Atma is being introduced as Chatushpada Atma, Chatushpada Atma, which has four padas, right? Now, normally we can take pada as one quarter, so we should not do that. We should take it as an aspect or a facet, one aspect of Atma. Why do we say that? Why should we not take it as a quarter?
Because Atma is one only. It cannot be divided.
Atma cannot be divided. Okay, so when we say for Chatushpad Atma, a lot of people, there are four parts of Atma. There is not. It's four aspects, four different ways of understanding the Atma. So this presentation as Chatushpad Atma, we have not seen anywhere in the previous Upanishads. It is only in Mandukya that this is being presented. And because of this presentation, Mandukya is a bit abstract, but it is very beautiful, very deep, a little tough to understand. Though it's only 12 mantras, but as I said, there are many karikas. And the karikas help us in understanding the mantras. See, here it is being an idea which was presented earlier in Vedanta is being recalled. What is that? If anything in creation, if you have to say that anything is creation is existing, what is the first condition? It should be a prameyam. It should be a object of knowledge. Right? If something is not an object of knowledge, can you ever talk about the existence of that object? No. So it must be an object of knowledge, which means it must be a prameyam for one of the pramanams which we have. Right? What are the pramanams? Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, etc. Right? Okay. So this argument is very important. If any object is to be talked about as being existing, then that object should be an object of knowledge of some pramanam. It should be a prameyam. Okay. And you can add a refinement. So even you can say that even if that object is not the object of knowledge today, It must have been an object of knowledge. It should have been an object of knowledge sometimes in the past, sometime in the past, or it should have the capacity to become an object of knowledge sometime in the future. Right? So you have to plug all the loopholes in the definition. You cannot say that only if today it is an object of knowledge, then only can I say that it is existing. No. It could have been an object of knowledge in the past, or it may become, it should have the capacity to become one in the future, right? Or it should be today. Therefore, either in the past, or in the present, or in the future, that existing object should have the capacity to become prameyam for some pramanam or the other. Not all the pramanams, any one pramanam. Right? Right. Now, one more refinement. When I say prameyam, it need not be an object of knowledge for me. It need not be an object of my knowledge. But it should become, it should at least have the capacity to be an object of knowledge for somebody somewhere, some living being. For that living being, it should be a prameya. This is the how we are developing the subject. What exactly is a existing? When can you say something is existing? If it fulfills all these conditions. So, to summarize them, there should be prameyatvam, the status of being a prameyam. The status of being an object of knowledge is called prameyatvam. Right? Prameyam, object of knowledge. The status of being is abstract noun. The status of being prameyam is prameyatvam. So, for any object to be classified as existing, these three conditions should be there. That object should be an object of knowledge, should be a prameyam for some pramanam or the other. Number one. Number two, it should be an object of knowledge in the present, or should have been in the past, or should become in the future. Number two. And number three, it should be an object of knowledge for some living being or the other. Need not be for me, right? But some living being should be able to perceive or understand it as an object of his knowledge, of his pramanams. If these three things are there, then we can talk about that object as existing. Okay, let's take a hypothetical argument. Let us imagine there is an object, but it is not a prameyam at all. It is not the object of any pramanam. So neither will it become an object in the past, in the present, in the future, nor will it be an object for me or any other living being. If these three conditions are there, that it is not the object of any pramanam, that it doesn't become an object in the past, the present, or the future, and it's not a pranayam for me or any other living being, how can you talk about the existence of such a thing? Right? The existence of such an object, the statement that it exists, has no meaning at all. Why?
Because of these three conditions. So at least one, because no one has ever known and it doesn't have any potential also to be known in future.
Right. A thing which is not going to be known at any time through any pramanam by anybody. How do we say that such a thing exists? And therefore, if it fulfills these three conditions of not being there, that is, not being going to be known at any time through any pramanam by anybody, then we in Shastram we say that such a thing is non-existent. So the whole rigmarole is to define what is non-existent. And therefore, let us again, a summary of a summary. Number one, a thing is an object can be said to be existing only when it is a prameyam, an object of knowledge. Therefore, pramayatvam is a necessary condition to say that something exists. Now, if a thing or object has to be prameyam, that status is possible only when there is a pramata. Right? The moment you say this is a prameyam for this pramanam, there must be a pramata who is operating that pramana. So prameyam is one, pramata is very necessary. And if pramata is not there, remember, if there is no pramata in creation, nothing in creation can become a prameyam. And if a thing cannot become a prameyam, you cannot talk about the existence of that thing. So, important rule, the existence of a prameyam depends upon the pramata being there. In other words, what are we saying? Prameyam is dependent upon pramata. Right? Prameyam has a dependent existence depending upon the pramata. Okay, one more point. A pramata, that is a knower, comes into being when we have to connect it to all the Vedanta which we have studied. There is Atma, right? Is Atma pramata or not? It's very, normal question. Is Atma a pramata? Atma can never be a pramata. Why?
Akarta. Akarta.
Atma has no parts. Therefore, the very criteria for being a pramata is what? You must employ a pramanam. And Atma has no pramanam of its own. Therefore, if Atma has to become a pramata, Atma should be associated with some pramana. Right? And you look at the three avasthas. In Jagrata avastha, you as Atma employ what pramanam?
Sthula body.
Anendriya.
Gyanendriyas and
Antakarna.
Antakarna. Okay. Now, in dream state, Swapna avastha, are you a pramata?
Yes.
What do you employ?
Mind.
You don't employ any indriyas? In the dream state, when you are, being chased by a dream tiger, what are the indriyas that are being employed? Remember,
Karmendriya.
sorry?
Virtually Karmendriya.
No. When what is dream state? When the waker projects the dream. So there is a dreamer there. Your consciousness associated in that dream state, that is the dreamer. And the dreamer has all the instruments that you have. The dreamer has dream indriyas, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, dream antakaranam, dream objects, everything is there. So just as in Jagrata Avastha, you are employing your various sense organs and mind in as a waker, right? As a Vishwa, you are doing that. But as a Taijasa, in the dream state, you have the same Swapna Pramanams, right? You have Swapna Pramanams, you have Swapna objects, Pramayams, and therefore you are a Swapna Pramata. So both in Jagrata Avastha and in Dream Avastha, Swapna Avastha, you are a Pramata. What about Shushupti Avastha? Shushupti Avastha, the Pramanams are not available to you. The mind is resolved. There is no Pramanam available to you. And therefore, in Sushupti Avastha, you are not a Pramata at all. So, out of three avasthas, in two avastha you are Pramata, in one avastha you are not a Pramata. Therefore, remember that the Pramata in our language, the reflected consciousness, is not a independent entity. Because it is only when I, the OC, when I, the Atma, the conscious being, the original consciousness, when I am associated with some pramanam or the other, that the pramata comes into existence. When I, the Atma, am associated with the Jagrata Avastha pramanams, I am called Vishwa. Right? The pramata, Vishwa pramata comes into existence. When I, the same OC, the same Atma, am associated with the Swapna Prapancha and the Swapna Pramanams and the Swapna Pramata. Right? Therefore, the Atma by himself, by itself, is not a Pramata. Only when the association comes, the Pramatratvam, status of being a Pramata comes. Therefore, the Pramata himself is a dependent entity. Dependent upon whom?
Consciousness principle.
Dependent upon me. Okay, now we are advanced. We should stop talking about consciousness principle as something different. Dependent upon me, the Atma. So, summarizing this, Prameyam has got dependent existence. Pramata has got dependent existence. Therefore, both the knower and the known, the Pramata and the Prameyam, or we can, in view of the previous definition, we can say knowable. Because that which was known in the past is also there, that which was known in the present is also there, that which can be known in the future is also there. So both Pramata, the knower, and Prameyam, the knowable, they are both having dependent existence, depending upon the Atma. And this dependent existence is called Paratantra Satta. Satta means existence, Paratantra means depending on something else. Therefore, Pramata and Prameyam both have Paratantra Satta. Therefore, both Pramata and Prameyam depend upon me, the Atma. But there is a difference, slight difference. What is there? Pramata depends directly upon me. Why? Because the mind, when associated with me, becomes Pramata. However, Prameyam depends on me indirectly. Why?
Through Pramata.
Prameyam depends upon Pramata. Pramata depends upon me. So, me, Pramata, direct dependence. Me, Pramata, Prameyam. Pramata is in the middle. So, it is a indirect dependence. And therefore, you can conclude actually that both Pramata and Prameyam, they are dependent upon me, the Atma. Right? Now, whatever has dependent existence is called what?
Mithya.
Mithya. Therefore, both the Pramata and the Prameyam are Mithya. In this context, we have to recall the Taittiriya Upanishad where we studied Panchakosha Vivekaha, right? And we had the process of reducing everything to Mithya. How? First was Karyatva Nishchayaha. That is arriving at the conclusion that a thing is a product. Whatever the product has a name and a form. Nama Rupatva Nishchayaha. And then Koshatva Nishchayaha, one of the koshas. And after that, Mithyatva Nishchayaha, that it is Mithya only. Therefore, Pramata and Prameyam are both Mithya. And from this we can conclude from the Taittiriya Upanishad Panchakosha Viveka that Mithya means nothing but Nama and Rupa. Whatever has no substance of its own, depending upon something, but has in the name a form and a name, that is called Mithya. So Nama Rupatvam is there. It is the nature of name and form. So remember, whenever we say Mithya, it is nothing but attribution of form and name. And therefore you have to consolidate all this by saying, I, the Satyam Atma, am appearing as Pramata and Prameyam, but with Mithya Nama Rupa. All very, very important points, but we have always done all this. So I'm just consolidating the entire teaching so far, which we have seen over several Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and whatnot. And therefore we can say the entire universe is nothing but Mithya Nama Rupa. Mithya, name and form. And we can further subclassify into three categories. In the waking state, that is the Jagrata Avastha, you have the Sthula Nama Rupa, gross forms and names. In the dream state, the Swapna Avastha, you have Sukshma Nama Rupa, which is subtle forms and names. And in Sushupti Avastha, the names and forms are resolved but not destroyed. They are present in potential form. How do you know?
Comes back when you wake up.
It comes back when you wake up. So in Sushupti Avastha, the potential forms are in the Nama Rupa are in potential form, which we call Karana Nama Rupa. Right? So in Sanskrit, Jagrat Avasthayam, in Jagrat Avastha, Sthula Nama Rupa, Swapna Avasthayam, Sukshma Nama Rupa, Sushupti Avasthayam, Karana Nama Rupa. What is the association that I have with these names and forms? In Jagrat Avastha, I associate myself with Sthula Namarupa. Mithya only, but Sthula Namarupa. And therefore I appear in two forms. Very important idea. When in Jagrat Avastha, I am associated with the Sthula Namarupa, I have two forms. One is Jagrat Pramata, the waking knower, and the Jagrat Prameyam, the waking universe, the waking known. And therefore, in that particular mixture, I would say mixture, association. In the association where I am associated with Sthula Namarupa, there is a name given. I am called Sthula Atma. Similarly, in the Swapna Avastha, I am associated with Sukshma Namarupa. I appear in two forms as the Swapna Pramata and the Swapna Prameyam. And I am given the name Sukshma Atma. So there is a Sthula Atma, Sukshma Atma. In Sushupti Avastha, I am associated with the potential names and forms, Karana Namarupa. And in that, I am called Sushupti Pramata and Sushupti Prameyam. But we should understand that since it is in Karana Avastha, you can't distinguish between the Pramata and the Prameya. There can be no clear line of distinction drawn between Pramata and Prameyam in Sushupti Avastha. Therefore, I am called Karana Atma. Karana means the whole thing is in potential state. Therefore, from the standpoint of Mithya Namarupa, I have three associations, and in each one of them I have a different name. Sthula Atma, Sukshma Atma, and Karana Atma. But this is all from the standpoint of the Mithya Namarupa. But if I ignore the Mithya Namarupa and when I look at myself without the association with the Namarupa, remember that the Sthula Atma, Sukshma Atma, and Karana Atma are roles being played by me. As who am I? I am the original Atma. Right? And therefore, when I drop the roles, I am not associated with any of these Namarupas. From my own standpoint, I am different from Pramata and Prameyam. So, Pramatra, Prameya, Vilakshana Atma. This Atma, I am neither the Pramata nor the Prameyam because there is no associated Namarupa. In that state, I have a different name. I am called Turya Atma. Right? So important to understand Turyam. Turyam literally is fourth. But really speaking, there are only three states, three avasthas. That is why it's called Avasthatrayam. Right? Three avasthas. Which is what? Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. And in those avasthas, I have got my own names, Thula Atma, etc. But when I am not associated with those avasthas, I am Turya Atma. I am not playing the role of Pramata or Prameyam. When I don't have a role at all, then I am called Turya Atma. Turya literally means fourth, but we should take it as Brahman, not associated with anything. And therefore the Chatushpat, the four aspects, the four facets. What are they? The first pada, Sthula Atma. The second pada, Sukshma Atma. The third pada, Karana Atma. The fourth pada, Turya Atma. Because of these four, I am called Chatushpada Atma. Out of these four padas, how many are Mithya and how many are Satyam?
3 are Mithya.
Three are Mithyas. The fourth pada alone is Satyam. Therefore, I have one Satya pada and three Mithya padas. That is why it says Saha Ayam Atma Chatushpadaha. Okay, now we have to discuss the Prathama pada, the first pada, which is Sthula Atma. That discussion will come in the third mantra. And then Dvitiya pada, Sukshma Atma. That discussion will come in the fourth mantra. Then Tritiya pada, the Karana Atma. That discussion takes place in the fifth and sixth mantras. And Turya Atma is discussed in the seventh mantra. Right? And since the Avasthatrayam is also brought into this discussion, the inquiry into the Chatushpada Atma is sometimes called the Avasthatraya Vicharaha. And as I said, in this mantra, the avasthatara vichara began from Soyam. Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Okay. Anything so far? All very, very different from what we have seen. So please be sure that you have understood. And if you have not, please ask. No
So,
questions?
Taraji, Turya Atma is the same as Brahman, Nirguna.
Is the same as me.
Mm. Mm.
I am Turya Atma. Other words are Nirguna Brahman, Nirguna Atma. Nirguna why? Because there are no associations.
Mm. Thank you.
Okay. Now we go to mantra number 3, which is dealing with Sthula Atma. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. जागृतस्थानो बहिष्प्रज्ञः
जागृतस्थानो बहिःप्रज्ञः
एकोनविंशतिमुखः
एकोनविंशतिमुखः
स्थूलभुग्वैश्वानरः प्रथम पादः
स्थूलभुग्वैश्वानरः प्रथमः पादः
Okay. So, in this mantra, you will note that Sthula Atma is not mentioned. So, you will find this, a lot of commentators referring to the first pada as the Sthula Atma, though we don't find the name in particularly mentioned in this mantra. Now, look at the word Jagrat Sthanam. Sthanam means what? Place or location or, right? Or we can take it avastha. But we have to be aware here that when the Upanishad says Jagrita Sthanam here, the Jagrita Sthanam is not the name of avastha. We should not take it as the avastha. It should be taken as the consciousness which is associated with the Jagrata avastha. That is why Jagrata Sthanam. In that avastha, I am associated. So I am therefore in Jagrata avastha, I am not pure consciousness. I am associated with what? Sthula Namarupa. Right. In the Jagrata avastha, I am no longer Nirguna Atma. I am associated with the Sthula Nama Rupa. And in this association, I appear in two ways. I am the Jagrat Pramata, the knower, and I am also the Jagrat Prameyam, the knowable. Right? Why do you say that? Because Atma is only one. And there is a fictitious division over here, which is the knower and the known. And to understand that, we can think of the dream. So in the dream, it is I, the waker, who have divided myself into the dreamer as well as the dream universe. Is it not? In the same way, in the Jagrata Avastha, it is I, the consciousness principle, I, the Atma, who have divided myself into the Pramata knower and the Prameyam, the known. Okay. Now, when am I called the knower? I mean, when do I get the titles Pramata and when do I get the title Prameyam? When I am associated, so remember when I say I, don't think of it as the physical body, it is I, the Atma, the consciousness principle. So when I am associated with the Vyashti Sthula Nama Rupa, so very important adjective, Vyashti Sthula Nama Rupa, that is the micro names and forms, which is at the individual level, then I am called the Pramata. But when I am associated with the Samashti Sthula Rupa, right, the macro names and forms, then I am called the Prameyam. Does it make sense? Any doubt over there? When I, the Atma, am seen in association with the individual body, mind, sense complex, I am the Pramata. When I, the Atma, am seen in association with the Samashti Nama Rupa, that is the whole universe, then I am the Prameya Prapancha. So from the Vyashti point of view, I am Pramatha. From the Samashti point of view, I am Prapancha. Therefore, I, Atma, without any name and form, formless Nirguna Atma, when I associate myself with micro names and forms, I am Pramata. When I am associated with macro names and forms, I am the world, I am the universe. Therefore, the Upanishad says that I am the Pramata as well as the Prameya. Right? So this Vyashti description and Samashti description has to be carefully remembered. So first, Upanishad talks about the Vyashti description, that micro description. So it says Mahish Pragyaha. So when you break up this on the Mahihi Pragyaha, Pragya here means consciousness. So Mahihi Pragya means consciousness turned outwards, which means in the Jagrata Avastha, in the waking state, when I am associated with the individual Vyashti body, name and form, I am the Vishwa, the waker. And the waker, for the waker, the consciousness is always turned outwards because he has the Pancha Jnanendriyas and the Pancha Karmendriyas. As a Jagrat Pramata, you are conscious of the external world. You have extroverted consciousness, right? And therefore, it says Bahihi Prajnaha. Your consciousness, when associated with the micro name and form, it is always turned outwards. So this design, the grand design, as they say in science, you have to appreciate the grand design. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Only when you get all the parts correctly into place, you can appreciate the whole puzzle. Therefore, only when you get all the parts of this huge design correctly, then only can I understand, can I appreciate that it is I alone who am everything. So, Mahesh Prajnaha, the consciousness is turned outwards. Then, how do I contact the external world? That is given in the Eko, Ekona Vimshati Mukha. Ekona Vimshati is 19. Mukha is faces. I have 19 organs for interaction with the world. We have seen this in Tattva. What are the 19 organs?
Panchakan, Jnanendriya, Panchakarmendriya,
That's 10.
Panchaprana,
then
Pancha Prana,
Panchaprana,
15.
then
Antakarana,
Antakarana, mind,
Which is wherever
which has Chitta,
Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara.
Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar.
Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 4. They are the 19 organs, so the 19 gates. Right? So through these 19 sense organs or gates, the Jagrat Pramata interacts with the external world. Then there is Sthula Bhuk. If you look at that, Sthula Bhuk, Vaishvanaraha. Sthula Bhuk. So in the waking state, I experience the external world. And I know that the Sastric name for the Jagrat Pramata is Vishwa. It's not given in the mantra, but we should pull it out from our Tattva studies. The Jagrat Pramata is called Vishwa. Right? And this world is made up of 5 gross elements. So up to this is the description of the individual pramata. Right? So if you look at the mantra, Prathama Pada, that is going to be the last 2 words. Prathama Pada, the first Pada, the description of the individual Vyashti Pramata, Vaishpragnya, Ekonavimshati Mukha, and Sthula Mukha. These are all from the viewpoint of Vyashti, of the micro. So there are 2 other words which you have not seen, Saptangaha and Vaishvanaraha. These are from the Samashti viewpoint. Vaishvanara means what? The one consciousness alone, which is associated with all the macro names and forms. Samashti Nama Rupa, sun, moon, stars, planets, 14 lokas, everything. When I am associated with that Samashti Nama Rupa, remember I am called Virat Ishvaraha. Right? So I am Vishwa from the association point of the body mind sense complex, but from the corresponding Samashti level, macro level, I am Virat Ishvara. Right? Vaishvanaraha. Therefore, I am Virat, I am Vaishvanaraha, I am Vishwarupaha with Samashti Nama Rupa. Then Saptangaha is also there. Right? Saptangaha is 7 limbs. So this is pulled out from the Upanishad which you already seen. Chandogya Upanishad. There is a description of Saptanga Ishvaraha. I don't know if you remember. The 7 limbs of this Virat are: the head is the heaven, the sun is the eye, the breathing, the prana is the Samashti Vayuhu, the mouth is the Agni Tattvaham, the body is Akasha, total space, the bladder is the ocean, Samudraha, and the feet are Prithvi. There was a upasana of this nature in Chandogya Upanishad. Therefore, in waking state, I am not only the individual, I am also the universe. So in the dream state, I become a dream individual and I create a dream world out of my own mind, out of my own vasanas. This is Prathama Padaha. This Jagrat Pramata and this Jagrat Prameyam, they are put together. So the Jagrat Pramata and Jagrat Pramayam taken together, or in other words, Vishwa and Virat put together, is Prathama Padaha, which we also called Sthula Atma. Right? So, Shankara in his commentary, he quotes Chandogya, 5th chapter, 18th section, 2nd mantra. It's called Vaishvara Vidya, if you remember. Right? So he says, Tasyaha va etasyatmanaha Vaishvararasyaha. That Viratishvara, Mudhaiva Sutejaha, the heaven is the head, Chakshu Vishwarupaha, the sun, Vishwarupaha is the eye, is Chakshu, and Pranaha Pritag Vartama. Pranaha is the Vayu, Pritag is different, Vartama is the movement, Atma is the nature. Therefore, Pranaha is that thing which has the nature of moving in different directions. Pranaha, Pratik, Vartama, Atma. All this is not new to us. Okay, you already done it in Chandogya. Sandeho Bahulo. So the body is Sandeha. Bahu is huge. Akasha is the body. Vastireva Raihi. The bladder, Vasti. Rai is the ocean. Prithiviyeva Padau. The earth is the legs. Then Ahavaniya Agnihi. The Agni, which is the type of fire used in Vedic rituals, is the mouth. So the question might come, why does Shankara say Ahavaniya Agnihi and not just plain old Agnihi. There is a very specific reason. When a Virat Upasaka, a Vaishvanara Upasaka eats food, remember for him, the eating is a karma. It's called Agnihotra karma. And that is the connection. The fire used for Agnihotram is called what? Ahvaniya Agnihi. Therefore, he says that this mouth is the Ahvaniya Agnihi. Now, Shankara asks a question. Why take the consciousness associated with Sthula Prapancha as the first pada? Why should we not take Karana Prapancha first? What could be the reason?
Grosser,
Gross
more
to
visible.
subtle.
Easier to understand.
Hmm.
When we do the neti neti, you travel from where to where?
From
From body.
Sthula to
From Sthula backwards, right? Reverse direction you travel. Therefore, Shankara says that is the reason why you should take Sthula Prapancha as first pada because you start from there. You have to travel from gross to subtle, and each one has to be resolved into its karanam. So, Sthulam has to be resolved into Sukshmam, Sukshmam has to be resolved into Karanam, right? And therefore, it's a very important idea that Shankara is saying here. Negation of Anatma is not sufficient. You can always say, I am not the Anatma. But negating Anatma is not enough. You have to bring that Anatma back to you with all its problems. Right? Because Anatma is, if you are saying I am not Anatma, then you are saying I am something, Anatma is something else. There are two things. It's duality. So Shankara is pointing out a very, very important part of the Shastric teaching. First you negate, yes, correct. Use logic and negate, but then bring them all back together. And then use the Mahavakyam to falsify the Anatma. So the Anatma is present in me, but I am not affected by the Anatma because it's a dependent entity. It is Mithya only. They are all present in me, but I am not affected by them. Therefore, it's a very important point which a lot of advanced Veda students forget. Merely focus on Nirguna Ishvara is not sufficient. You have to bring back Saguna Ishvara also. Don't ever say that Saguna Ishvara is not important. Because negating Anatma, if you say only, then you are actually accepting duality. But only when you accept Anatma as a non-different part of you, the Atma, then only is your Advaitic knowledge complete. So your meditation is, my Prathama Pada is not Vishwa, it is Virat. Right? So you should remember that in the four Padas, Vishwa and Virat are both there. Let us say that I resolve the Sharirams, Sthula Shariram into Sukshma, Sukshma into Karana, and finally into Turyam. If I resolve only the Yashti Sharirams, then you are a sort of personal Brahman, individual micro Brahman you become. And therefore, each person in this technique, if you do only resolution of your individual bodies, then each jiva will be resolving only his individual bodies. So you will resolve your body, I will resolve my body, somebody else will resolve his body, and therefore there will be multiple atmas. That is the problem. But when you equate this Vishwa with Virat, there are no multiple Sthula Prapanchas. There is only one Sthula Prapancha. There are multiple Sthula bodies, individual bodies. But you have to equate that Vishwa with Virat. And there is only one Sthula Prapancha. Right? And therefore, after resolving the individual bodies, when you are also resolving the Virat, Virat resolves only into one, Hiranyagarbha, Hiranyagarbha resolved into Antaryami. Antaryami resolves into Brahman. There is only one. Advaitam is ensured. So Shankara says, in this manner, Advaitam is to be proved by resolving all the prapanchas. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Very,
So-
very heavy it has been, so you can please ask.
So Acharyaji, as this Sthula Atma, I'm both the Pramata Vishwa and the Prameyam Virat.
Yes, because Sthula is both. The body is Sthula and so is the Virat. So you as Atma are playing two roles.
Hmm.
The Sthula Pramata and the Sthula Prapancha.
And who's the Pramata for the Sthula Prapancha? The same Vishwa?
You are, because you are the one who sees the world.
Hmm.
See, that's the tough part, How can I be there in both?
Hmm.
Because in one you are the Prameyam, in one you are the Pramata.
Hmm. Yes. Thank
Om sir, this is how the Nididhyasanam also goes when I start.
You will find this is a very, very interesting text because it
Hmm.
sees a lot of stuff which we don't see earlier.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you for your patience. So with this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om Om.
Thank you.